When I was a kid, one thing I always hated was the start of winter. Winter was cold and long, and there wasn't anything fun to do. All you did was sit inside cold and bored, waiting for the summer to come back around. The only thing that could even be considered a little bit fun about winter was whenever it snowed. However, me being from Charlotte, North Carolina, this was a rare occurrence, and even when it did snow, it would only be an inch or two of slushy stuff that could barely even be considered snow. This snow wasn't any fun to play in, and really, all it did was make a mess everywhere. This left the only benefit to winter for me being the occasional day off from school due to the threat of our so-called snow. My summers, on the other hand, were spent outside at the lake swimming, fishing, wakeboarding, and doing whatever else that my heart desired. However, my dislike of winter changed my senior year of high school when one of my friends invited me to go on his family's spring break trip to Vail, Colorado to go snowboarding. While I had never snowboarded before, I had been wakeboarding for most of my life, and I figured going to Colorado was an awesome opportunity, so why not give it a shot? So I did not have to learn how to snowboard on the steep and daunting slopes of Vail, Colorado. We took a trip to Cataloochee Ski Resort in the mountains of North Carolina so that I could learn the ropes of snowboarding. We drove up in February, and I took a lesson so I could begin to get the basics down. While some of the techniques and body positions are different from wakeboarding, the basic concept of using your edges to turn are the same. This made a relatively easy transition for me from water to the snow, and by the end of the day, I was a decently competent snowboarder, and I was fully hooked on the sport. After this trip to Cataloochee, and another couple more afterwards, I was ready for Vail, and I could not have been more excited. While in Vail, in the beautiful Rocky Mountains, I discovered a newfound love for snowboarding. The beauty of the scenery around me and the technical and creative challenges of the sport itself really captured my heart. To tell you more about the personal joy I and millions of others get from the sport of snowboarding, I have to first tell you a little bit about the history of the sport. Snowboarding is a sport that has its roots with a man named Sherman Poppin in the year 1965. His original goal was to build a toy for his daughters to play with whenever it snowed. His original design, which he called a snurfer, was simply two skis bolted together with a rope at the front for steering. You stood on the board sideways like a modern snowboard, however there were no boots or bindings to keep your feet strapped in. His design, which was licensed and distributed nationwide, was the predecessor of the modern snowboard. The modern snowboard, however, was pioneered by two legends of snowboarding, Tom Sims and Jake Burton. They created the first two large snowboarding companies in America and helped bring the sport to the mainstream. Sims Snowboarding and Burton Snowboards were founded in 1976 and 1977, respectively, and innovated the modern snowboard from the snurfer into what it is today, with varied and complex board shapes, sizes, and stiffness ratings, and specially designed boots and bindings tailored to the individual's riding style and ability. Without Sims and Burton, both individually and their respective companies, snowboarding could not have advanced to where it is today. They not only have played a huge role in the modern technology of boards and equipment, but also organized the first snowboarding competitions. These competitions were vital to bringing snowboarding the exposure that it needed to grow into what it is today, as well as make snowboarding a more acceptable pastime in the mountains of America. Originally, snowboarders were in fact banned from nearly every mountain in America. This was because snowboarding at the time attracted many skateboarders that were part of a nonconformist movement, so to speak. This was in contrast to a more upper-class and exclusive skiing community that had already developed on most mountains. Snowboarding was a more modern and creative sport at the time, and this caused backlash from those in the skiing community. This creativity and freedom of expression is one of the things that draws me most to snowboarding. You can explore untouched backcountry deep in the wilderness, carve down groomed trails at ski resorts, or jump and flip through the terrain park, or any combination of the above. The feeling of freedom and joy you get as you explore the mountain and make it your own with your own unique way of riding is like none other that I have personally experienced. It is just you, your board, the mountain as you find new lines and push the limits of your own technical ability trying to improve your skills. I'm sure you all can relate in some way to being nervous about trying something new or trying repeatedly to successfully accomplish some task, and the feeling of overwhelming joy and satisfaction that you get when you finally successfully accomplish whatever it is that you set out to do. With snowboarding, you can push yourself and have that same feeling every time you go down a slope, whether it's attempting a new run that previously might have been out of your ability level, landing a new trick, or simply perfecting and putting your own personal flair on the skills that you already have as a snowboarder. Additionally, while on the mountain, you are able to take in the beautiful winter scenery and gorgeous snow-covered peaks. Cruising through the trees and taking in the quiet and natural environment and relaxing is one of the greatest aspects of snowboarding. This leads me to my next point about snowboarding and winter sports in general. They can help raise awareness for the conservation of our outdoor spaces and the fight against global warming. In recent years, climate change has become a big issue globally and here in the United States. If the climate keeps getting warmer and we keep developing the last few regions of untouched wilderness that we have, people will no longer be able to enjoy the freedom and relaxation that snowboarding brings to its fullest potential. It is important that we, as people, advocate to try and reverse climate change and leave our wilderness as wilderness so that people can continue to enjoy snowboarding and their other favorite outdoor activities, as well as lead a cleaner life here on Earth. The Earth and its beauty allow us to enjoy our favorite activities and provide us with all the resources that we need to thrive and therefore, we should work to protect and maintain the Earth and its environment so that future generations can enjoy the same things that we do. As someone who feels very passionate about snowboarding and the joy that it gives me, I feel it would be very wrong of me to not try and ensure that future generations can enjoy it to the same extent that I am today. Because of snowboarding, winter to me is no longer a dark and sad place where no fun is to be had. I now look forward to winter and the first snowfall in the mountains so that I can get back on the mountain and participate in the sport that I love. I now feel that winter is something to look forward to instead of something to be avoided, and snowboarding has brought me that. Without snowboarding allowing me to express my creativity in a fun and athletic way, I would not be able to challenge and express myself in a way that fully engages me and fulfills me now that my high school sports career is over. I would also not have the same passion for conserving our nation's outdoor spaces and reversing the worrying trend of rising global temperatures. I hope that through this, at least one person here has been inspired to maybe give snowboarding a try, or even just recommend it to someone that would enjoy it. Or even to just advocate for our global environment so that people may continue to enjoy this athletic art form for generations to come.